This is the Ministry of Remedy hearing reference 2021/0000/0004/001. Now, this hearing has been granted under warrant by Minister of Env 128 and Minister of Env 1416 in regards to standing surety to a previous creditor of Minister of Env, account reference legal fiction 1567, and 1567 has approached 128 and other trust members to convene this restoration of rights. I'm Minister of Env 010. I was forwarded an email from, it was third party, from another Minister of Env notifying me that this was actually being actioned or asked to be actioned. So we've got 1567 here now. Obviously, you feel that you have ground to instigate a Ministry of Remedy hearing. Off you go.
Yeah, I think there's been some hearsay said, or there's been hearsay of some sort to say that I have credited my legal fiction. I don't believe I have, and also, yeah, that seems to be one of the reasons why I've been summarily thrown out of the trust. The other reason is for joining a Facebook group, which I absolutely felt was doing my due diligence on for me and mine, and working out what to do about my vehicle. Those are the only two things I can see that I can understand I've been thrown out of the trust for, and I don't understand it in any way. Tomorrow, I mean, the legal fiction or Minister MOVN 1567 or someone is supposed to be in court, and the only human being, the only being here who is tagged with that is me, and suddenly the guys who I thought were all standing around me, it doesn't seem like they are. And that is a really uncomfortable position, because I don't think I've let anyone down and not stood by them. That is my first comment in this forum.
Would Minister of Env 128 or Minister of Env 1416 like to answer any of that, as it is you two who have really manifest this meeting by standing surety already to 1567, just by the fact that you have taken it upon yourselves to invest your energy and time some more in this matter, to try to restore the rights to this individual by asking and applying for this hearing.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I believe that Minister, I don't know what your number is.
1567.
1567, open up the legal fiction. I believe he's inadvertently given it up by mistake. I don't think he realizes the mistake he's made, and I was hoping that we would have a Ministry of Remedy for him to remedy that situation, so that he could recognize the mistake he's made and make amends for that. But this seems to have been changed into something else now, which wasn't the intention.
What was my mistake? I'd love you to share it in front of the other people, what my mistake was within it. I believe you think my mistake was somewhere within the 7 days when I was incarcerated by the state, tortured for my fingerprints, DNA, where I was bent up and marched through the prison by 4 adult males, and then presented to the nurse afterwards for my injuries, with her saying that there's no injuries in order to put a mask on me. As far as I'm concerned, during none of that time did I consent to the things that were going on or contract with those people who I was dealing with. So I'd love you to share with the group at what point you think I inadvertently made a mistake or need some remedy to how I acted in that time. Please tell me.
I think the mistake that you made inadvertently was that when the prison guard came into our cell and said, your legal fiction name, you're free to go, you got up and left. And at that point, your actions rendered you, in contract with the legal fiction. And I think you've genuinely made that mistake. It's an easy mistake for any one of us to have made. And I think that you really need to recognize that, well, I know there was a lot of pressure on all of us to join with that legal fiction, and how easy it is to make that mistake. And I would have hoped that this Ministry of Remedy would have been for you to recognize that and correct that scenario, rather than for it to be about me and Dom standing surety to you, because I do believe that you are genuinely a decent, honest, good intentioned person with the right, who I feel.
So it's good that you've expressed that you think at that point I made a mistake, because on this Zoom call I think there's another person who was incarcerated with us, and I joined him once I was out of the cell with you. And I think if he recounts the tale of me leaving the prison and how much I contracted with their shit, I got fucking bent up again in the leaving cell by standing up to their stuff. On the way out, when they made it clear that only by using the legal fiction and acknowledging that would I get through the final gate, then my friend who was walking next to me said to me, spell your name out, and I spelt my name out. I mean,
I think this is
go on.
And I think this is the difficulty that a lot of us might have with the Minister MFN title, is that, once you are Minister MFN, you don't move from that in any way, shape, or form. And the way the system is structured, it makes it so very difficult for you. I mean, I got beaten up in.
So are you saying in short that I made I could almost laugh out loud that I made a mistake that that let everyone down a bit. Sorry about that then, guys.
That's not it at all.
I'm sorry in that moment that I let everyone down with standing up at that point.
That's not the way that you.
So now I've acknowledged and apologised for this. I would like to know, 010, what on earth you thought you were doing, sending sending me a Proton Mail email and telling me that I owed the trust money, that I had let the trust down, saying that threatening that I was going now in trouble with both the trust and the state. I don't understand where that came from, because I feel as I have interacted with all the people I have met from the trust in an absolutely correct and human way. And 010, you're the only one I haven't met in person and haven't managed to. And any of the ones you're the one that I ought to have had more interaction with, due to your position in holding the understanding of this lawful game that's being played. And but I am dyslexic on technology. I don't use technology. So I've voiced that from the beginning with my interaction with the ULCT as a problem for me. I've only taken Proton Mail and got a smartphone to communicate to you guys on there, and I have been, this Facebook thing of joining, I joined the ULCT Fallout group at the point when I'd come out of Hillston. I had the first 3 weeks when we couldn't do anything because there were still our friends incarcerated. At that point, I was in contact with people around me. I'd had a 5-week pretty intense experience that then I was trying to work through and download. I had the lady I was living with saying she wanted me out of the house because I hadn't been there. I had the mother of my children saying that I couldn't see the children because I'd been involved in she'd found out that I'd been involved in some way with the Hillston thing. My van, my vehicle, I was looking at putting onto ULCT plates. I had email conversations with 010 about what to do. I'd got my V5 document. The next thing was to sell it to the Halifax address and then export it, and blah, blah, blah. I was looking at those things. I've got my plates for the van. I then heard that one of the other MFNs had lost her car, that people had been thrown out of the trust. This was all at about the 3-week stage after me getting out of prison. I hardly go on the computer at all. I opened it and looked. I was told about the name of the woman who was thrown out, who was the administrator in Britain, who I'd had a phone call with on someone else's phone, or I'd spoken to her through someone else's black scrying mirror that they carry in their pocket. And I'd spoken to her, and she was an important part of the ULCT. Evidently, I was told at the time, but she'd lost her car. My possessions that I own are a VW T4 van that in slave tokens is worth a couple of $3,000, and I've got a few £100 in a bank account. So my due diligence on what to do with that piece of my puzzle was to try and just check out before I set with all my feet in. And I then opened it and tried to join the group. I think I had to then answer. I got an email back a day or two later saying you need to say something else, and I said, I'm in the ULCT, I'm looking at doing my car, I've now heard that people have got in trouble with it, I wanted to speak to people, something like that. I then left it. I then didn't go back to I didn't open my computer for another 2 weeks. My van broke down twice. I ended up with, I've ended up starting a relationship, and that's rather nice and rather lovely. But I just didn't do anything with computers. And when I got in trouble with my mum for not being in touch with her, but I don't do technology. At the same time, I've built a 6-meter geodesic dome for my friends on their land. I've joined in with people looking at land projects. In Britain, we are under a lot more pressure than other places for food. This is the food lever is going to be thrown at us, and thrown at us hard. I've spent some of my time doing that. I then opened the computer again. I went to the old ladies to finally see my children after a period of time. Switched my phone on, and it linked to the Wi-Fi so I could open Proton Mail. Open the Proton Mail in order to look at those, and then to phone 010 and work out what I was doing for my court thing that comes up tomorrow. This was 2 weeks ago or so, and had the top email was an email telling me that I was out of the trust and that I was now in more trouble because I had 2 groups looking after me that I'd committed fraud to. Yeah, I would like to know where that came from and what that is about, please. 010.
1483. Okay, I'll tell you what it's about. There was not just you who folded and claimed the legal fiction for the convenience of being free, and then turn around and say, I didn't do it, I don't believe I did do it, and actually then confess to spelling out the name. Your level of comprehension of this, of what it is, from the beginning of this, the first conversation that I had with you was that you were under no circumstances signing your consent to any community whatsoever, yet there you were already exemplifying that you already had by the deed that you committed by being involved with Universal Law Community Trust at Hillston. Your deed, whether you signed a piece of paper, put your thumbprint on it, anything that you wrote down is by the by, it's not relevant at that point. You have assigned your consent to be involved in something as a community at Hillston by appearing. So I've got some questions for you later on as to how it was that you appeared, because we have got no we've got no assignment of consent, we've got no knowledge of who you are, where you came from, or what you're actually doing there, but that's by the by at the moment. All of that is irrelevant. Even you going and spelling the name, using the name, giving your fingerprints, the use of the legal fiction under duress, you are not the only being that did that. You are the only being that once doing that, then went and continued to do what it is that you just explained there. The other beings, which I had a conversation with you at exactly the same point where you were left out of the court, I had a conversation with you on the phone in exactly the same way that I had a conversation with every single other M of N, whether they'd been forced into commerce or not, at the point of them being released. And my conversation with you was that I was here to stand surety to you at any time, day or night. You've got my number. If you can't get me on the phone, to send me an email. That was the surety services as a packet that is presented and given freely by me to every single individual who gets involved with this community trust. What you do with it is your self-determination. Now, the people who didn't go behind the back of the party, of the originator of the intellectual property that you've been granted the right of use of to use right, they didn't go.
Are you insinuating that I have done that thing, gone behind the back of someone?
You sent emails that I have been in receipt of here that you didn't even bother sending to me at all about having a restoration of rights meeting. This came the first contact that I've had with you since you left that court is the first knowledge that I had. Even I photographed the screen that shows the people who were involved in that Facebook group, but it's got that, it is piffle really compared to the real severity of the fact that you have no comprehension whatsoever of what it is that you're actually doing. You took no steps to involve yourself in any learning of any of the material that had been given freely to you. You objected to everything that was.
But this must be hearsay for you to be saying these things, because I have
hang
not met
on
you.
A second. I've been quiet.
It must be hearsay. So you must say who has said it, and they must speak, because I have never met you. It must be hearsay.
What are you talking about?
Whatever you're talking about,
I'm talking about you sending emails that you didn't send to me after I gave you an offer for you to accept further surety services to guide you through this, to help you in any way, in exactly the same way that that offer is made across the board.
When did this offer come? When on earth did this?
On the phone outside the court when you got released.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And then when I came to get in touch with you, 010, when I switched my phone on to get in touch with you, when I was finally at a place where I had Wi-Fi, I could link that thing up to, and then I had a landline and I was going to phone you. I was there with my children for the weekend. At that point, suddenly I've opened it and found out your surety services that you had verbally offered me, that I thought we had a verbal contract between us. I thought they were there. I found out from the email that they had been removed from under my feet.
They were revoked. And the reason why they were revoked is because in between the time that you had from speaking to me on the phone outside the court to the time that you decided to connect yourself to the internet, you had done house calls to people with emails trying to infer that I was not doing what it is that I had promised to do without you actually coming to me to clarify anything whatsoever. You joined the group, the cult leavers support group and called it due diligence. I've got the copies of the emails that you've sent to other people regarding this, and you have not sent or made contact with me at any time. Now,
well, 010, I am absolutely certain that those emails are not from me, because I have not sent any emails. Yeah, I don't do it. So I can guarantee you that those emails are not from me. I'm happy for any of the people here who I know in real life to take this scrying mirror that I've been carrying around in my pocket in order to communicate with the ULCT. I'm very happy for any of them, the ones who know me in person, so that's 1367, and you know who you are, guys, to look at this little black scrying mirror and check whether I've been saying things, whether I've joined to people, whatever. They can also look at my laptop to see what on earth I've done on Facebook, because I haven't done anything. You haven't got emails from me that were genuinely from me, because I haven't sent any. I have done a couple of house calls, you're absolutely correct, to speak about this exact stuff. I've done house calls in order to ameliorate the damage in my community that I could see, the splits in my community, not to piss on the ULCT bandwagon, but in order to rejoin it and to connect back up with the people, because my experience from coming out of prison was that I was having great difficulty communicating with the people from my community. I thought I had a wonderful thing to say to them, and I wasn't getting it across. My going and doing some house calls to people was trying to go and talk. I did that anyway. I just had
went to the house. When you went to the house,
which house?
You tried to minister whatever it was that you tried to minister there. Why did you not ask then to use the phone?
What do you mean?
To speak to me.
To use the phone to speak to you. Yeah. 010, it's not only you, we're all living our own lives. Okay. We're all living our own lives. The mother of my children, is threatening to take them abroad. They're abroad now. Yeah, I've been going through my own stuff, 010. Yeah, I'm sorry if you've got upset that you were unable to get in touch with me. Okay. There were people in my community that could have got in touch with me. Yeah, if you'd have spoken to them, they'd have come to me. My own mother was upset with me for going offline, but I have to go within myself. It's all within me.
Yourself, or are you going to admit that any responsibility in any of this matter? I do not particularly care whether you call me or not. I did not go around and chase after the other events who did bother, because they thought it was quite important for them to remedy the matter. You clearly had many other things to do and decided to determine it for yourself, to go about it in such a way that even if you hadn't done all of those things that we have got the evidence for, which is why...
what things have you got the evidence for of me? You haven't. You're just talking.
I'm going to show you my screen. I'm going to show you.
You haven't got any emails from me because I haven't sent any emails.
That's right. I didn't say that. I said that I haven't had an email from you. I have had an email from all the other people that you've been emailing to me.
I haven't been emailing anyone because I don't email people.
You do not email.
It's not that you've been left out as the only one who's not getting emailed. I don't email anyone.
Have you heard this? So you think that I'm being that this is all about me being left out? Do you know what?
But honestly, I know I haven't emailed anyone because I don't do it.
You know what this meeting is about? You mindless being. Do you have any idea what this is about? It's not about you, and it's not about me.
So what shall I do tomorrow? Because my legal fiction that the state will come and try and poke me with a stick with, that legal fiction is up in court tomorrow. There are people on this call who I was with on various parts of this bit of the adventure. At the moment, 010, I thought I was playing a nice tune that you'd written and that we were all going to play together and it was going to be happy days. Unfortunately, at one point within it, I did something that you have decided to be wrong and you've kicked me out of the band.
That's why you went and joined the Cult Leaders group, because you wanted to sing a little ditty. Really?
No, I went to get in touch with them because my one fucking possession in the world, I was going to have a wrist, I was going to toss that into the band as well.
You hadn't even remedied your legal fiction mindset. So what were you doing step 3 when you hadn't
what are you talking about? You don't know me in any way.
Exactly.
I've been playing the legal fiction game before the ULCT stuff. I've lost my job because I've played that game. Because I've played that game in my school.
You don't think that I've got anything that you need, obviously.
Bless you. I thought it was awesome, the thing that you've written. But it seems that I can't share it with other people. And the reason I can't share it with other people is because of whatever has happened now between you and I. Because I haven't done anything wrong and you've spat a load of vitriol at me.
Okay, that's what you think. So until...
Well, shall we, do you want to share the... You're all technological, unlike me. You could share the email that you've sent to me to the people on here. Send it out to them and ask them what they think.
I have sent it.
And the people who've met me at places, I don't even know who these numbers are. I'm sorry I haven't kept up with my number people stuff. But there's a rather lovely, there's a few people that I stood in a little square porch with when there was loads of old Bill outside. And we stood together. Can you speak up for me? Say something about whatever you saw of me to old 010 over there, who seems to think I'm a wrong 'un.
Do you know what? I'm only here. I'm not here for you, and I'm definitely not here to sit here and listen to this waddle, right? I'm here to establish that 128 and 1567 and 1416 want to stand surety to one another, regardless of whatever it is.
MORHR 010, where is the evidence of what you accuse me of? Where is the evidence? Show it.
Facebook, and it's been sent out to everybody.
So the evidence is that I joined a Facebook group, and therefore all of the stuff I've done, whatever's happened with all this group, that is it. How safe does everyone else feel?
Don't insult yourself.
How safe do you all feel?
And include everybody else in your incapacitated mindset. Okay, nobody is kicking anybody out of any trust. You do that yourself by your actions and your deeds. What is it, the trust that you've just excluded yourself from is your
How
own.
have I excluded myself from it?
Your own trust. The reason why you have no trust is because even now you will not acknowledge the fact that you have sent emails to people wanting and trying to initiate a Ministry of Remedy hearing for a restoration of your rights. I have the email.
I can guarantee you I haven't. I spoke to them in person and I sent an email to you and to 4 others. No, better than this. I know what it is. You're making assumptions. I can show you exactly what it is. If you could see my scrying mirror that I've got in front of me, it was the first time I'd tried to send this thing with the double arrow bit in the middle that sends it to more people. And I tried to do it and it sent it to 4 people and then it missed out 1. I think it actually might have missed out you, 010. My apologies for that. That was me. Then I think I sent it just to you. Then I sent it to 3 of them and not another. I think I sent it about 4 times altogether. I was quite pleased with myself at the moment because with my technospasmodity, which I've got, it was one of the greatest things I've done this week, really, but I got it to work. So I'm sorry if it seemed like it came from one to another, but anyone can have a look at my phone and you'll see that I've sent it about 4 or 5 times. The end result was I managed to get the email sent to 5 people.
Exhibit A, forward text, truth juggler, truth, suit, kindness credits, jam free, Mahe, Johal, M event 1367. This is an email saying, hello there, kindness credits. I would like a Ministry of Remedy, please. Your email to me has an awful lot of assumptions. Now, this is the one that came after the email that I sent to you, saying that you have absolutely no right of use of any of my energy, yet here we are. You're still using my energy. And this is the reason why I've had this Ministry of Remedy hearing, because it isn't you that instigated this. This is the M events who do have a warrant. I do have a connection with, and I do have an exchange with. Why? Because these people did not go and try to destroy what it was that somebody had given to them in free love and kindness. Now, when you give somebody a glass of water, they take a big drink and they fill it up with piss and they hand it back to you. Are you going to continue to give that offer of that clean, refreshing drink to somebody who returns your investment in such
You're right. I did think it was water. You're right. I did think it was water first. I again concur. Ho. You're right. I'm starting to think it might be piss.
And I'm starting to think that you already think that, and therefore that brings me to my next question. If you already think that, which is clear from your tone towards me from the beginning of the conversation that we've had, the very first conversation where you butted in to a conversation that, from my perspective, had absolutely zero to do with you. Why? Because I have got a voice in the background.
I hear that you're going to cut me off any moment, right? So before that, I have actually got a bit of a techno wizard with me. So if you'd like, 010, I could get, I could probably do some of that computer wizardry, and I could get my phone screen put up for everyone to see. They could see that I sent 4 emails on the 6th of, no, 3 it was on the 6th of July, and they'll see the random spread of CCs amongst those 5 people that was on it. I could also screenshot and show up to everyone with my technically gifted colleague that the email that you sent me, 010, where you spat your dummy out and kicked me out of your trust.
I haven't.
Would you like me to show off my?
Here we go. We still haven't got, and we can't establish a meeting of the minds here when the level of the mind.
The thing is, I've been pushing against this system for 25 years, and it's only by singing your tune that I've ended up getting spanked so hard by it. It's only by singing your tune.
You haven't sung our tune. You went.
Haven't I? Haven't I?
With the name. You've got a solicitor. You've got.
I haven't got a solicitor. I have not. I just haven't.
Did you not?
Oh, no. Where's the evidence?
Did you not tell
Come on, love.
On the phone that you thought that you needed to get a solicitor?
No, I didn't. I think you're getting confused with someone else. That was not me.
Right.
Whenever anyone mentions a solicitor to me, do you know what I say? I say I don't use prostitutes. That's what I say. That's what I've said for years. I've said that many times to the police and the prison people. Exactly that.
No, you just pimp the rest of us into their system with your mind.
How did I pimp the rest of you into the system?
Here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are having to use our energy in this way to credit your incapacitated mind. And even now, you're not prepared to shut up and listen to what it is that you are actually doing because you think that you haven't done anything.
No, I know I've done quite a lot of things. I'm quite busy. I have got quite a lot of energy.
You know what? All I've got to say in this matter is that I am not standing surety to that, okay? And I've said it already to everybody on this.
Yeah, so I'm here in order to perhaps help some of the other people who are here, who I've met in person, who are rather lovely people. Yet, okay? Because how I've been treated.
So, I have just said that I am not standing surety to that incapacitated mind. I've already said this to many other people before this individual came along. We are
if you unmute me all the time.
To reserve your rights. My rights are.
Oh, we're having an unmute game.
Your rights are reserved also. Now, if you want to go and stand surety to anybody, you've got the right to do that. You can go.
Hello, friends.
And determine for yourself
Countrymen.
who it is.
Can I speak?
Your energy to. But what you cannot do, which is a trait of the administrative system, you cannot assign the rights of another individual against.
Thanks, love. That was lovely. Excuse me, love. I just want to say.
Right. You know, this is absolutely ludicrous. So the whole point of this wasn't for him. The point for this was to exemplify that we have direct democracy as a standing. That if anybody inside the trust wants to go and stand surety to another, even if there's somebody inside the trust who's got an interaction, a connection that we seem to have in this way, for whatever reason, that remains to be revealed. But for whatever reason, right now, we have got this situation when all it would have taken is a very simple phone call. So I'd like to hear from 1483, who is another MVN, who decided that when the torture and the persecution got too much and she'd reached her level of knowledge, that she then chose to use legal fiction in order for her to be able to facilitate her so-called freedom. 1483, when you left, when we had the conversation on the phone while you were incarcerated, and you got to the point where you decided that you were going to use legal fiction, and we had a conversation as you left the court, what did you do after that?
I didn't use the legal fiction after I come out of court. After I'd had the conversation with you, I've not used that legal fiction name since, and I do not intend on using that legal fiction name.
Did you join a Facebook group that included people who were detrimental to the trust?
No.
Did you go behind the backs of other MVNs to try to instigate meetings or take emails to misinterpret the context of them, to try to cause a separation and a division for some unknown reason in this trust?
No.
Thank you. 1666. Again, the same questions to you, because there was only 2 out of 9 MVNs who did not use the legal fiction. There are 7 other MVNs who did use the legal fiction, and not one of them performed in the way that this creditor of the account 1567 did, and still does. So the 1666, are you there?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Did you join a Facebook group to try to and send emails?
Oh, never.
Okay. Did you do house calls and call us a cult and warn people that look what you're involved with?
Oh,
Thank you. Is there anybody here who did do that apart from 1567? No, that's not. Now, even that, like I've just said, is okay, obviously, because we're all still here. One rule applies, doesn't it? And we've got this standard. Come and say, you know, I did this, what do I do next? What about, how can I remedy it? What am I, where's my standing? We have exactly the same scenario where last week the individual went to the same court where 1567 is bleating about going tomorrow, and he didn't perform any of those deeds either. In fact, what he did, he took it upon himself to do all of the steps that he when he got involved with us and got involved at Hillston, he was fresh to this, and he's done all of the steps. He's exemplified himself, he's restored his rights, and he's gone and remedied it himself. And if it had gone any other way, then I would have been standing there to stand surety to him, to serve the habeas corpuses and all of that. Why? Why? Because the return on my investment for my energy, the energy exchange was clean, it was beneficial, and it was done in kindness and love. And I didn't need to be asked to do that. It's there. The offer is there. Now, to have somebody come and take that kindness and turn it into, like you just said, it looks like piss. Okay. And so if that's what it is that you think that you're getting, my next question would have been, why do you want to use it? If you've got no trust or faith in it, or the, you know, like I said there, and he said, okay, well, bless you, because he loves what it is that we do. Now, I cannot and I will not stand surety to that level of incapacity because of the exhaustion and of the resources of our energy funding that. At the same time, I'm here to rebut any presumption that this is a dictatorship. Each and every single one of us has got a right to contract or not contract with any single other individual that walks amongst us or not. And that is the difference between us and the administrative system. If we start going and assigning other people's consent to other people without the originator's consent, that's when we started to need things like copyright or intellectual property, trademarks, patents, all of that shit. Just respect it for what it is. If you want to go and stand surety to somebody, you don't need to hold a Ministry of Remedy hearing to say, is it all right if I do this? You don't need to ask somebody's permission. Is it all right if I do this? All of those things is administrative system adding to the administration of yourself. You don't need to come and ask somebody, what do I do next? But because we're all of them in this together, supposedly, we've said that if you go and do this, then I will go and do that. But when somebody said, if you go and do this, this is a verbal agreement, like we just explained, and you didn't include the small print that I'm going to spend the next month going around and trying to perform due diligence, but at the same time inferring that the thing that I've gotten myself involved with is a cult. Okay, let's take the word cult. Culture. What are we culturing? We're supposed to be culturing secured minds, not facilitating incapacitated minds that behave in this way. If you have got nothing to hide, then get it out there, get it out and say what it is that you've got to say. Don't stand there and defend the indefensible. You haven't been let out of prison because you didn't use the name. You've been let out of prison because you contracted, opened up the credit file and let them make the money. We know that. So please don't insult our intelligence and say, I don't believe I did, because otherwise there would have been 3 ministerial events in there until 28 days had expired instead of 2. So at that point, where we've got the remedy, are we stealing somebody's lesson by facilitating this mindlessness to this degree? Or are we going to say, right, okay, I've got a different connection. 128 has got a different connection, obviously, with 1567 than I have. And so has, I believe, one of the other ministerial events whose number has just disappeared off my screen, 1416. Now, if they want to go and stand surety to somebody, like I just said, we don't need to vote on that. You don't need to call a hearing and say, or if I go and do this. But what is not okay is for you to say, yes, I'm going to go and stand surety to you, but I'm going to go and use the right of use that I've been given. That's fine. You've been given that right of use, but you cannot then third party contract somebody else to perform an obligation that you have created through your determination, you're determining with yourself. You need to do that. And don't say, I'm going to stand surety to you in the court if you can't follow through with the habeas corpuses and all of the paperwork and all of the admin. You have to turn around and say, right, okay, I've reached my limit now. Now we have to come and say, right, okay, imagine that everybody's put their 5 hours in the pot. So here are the kindness credit accounts. 1191's put that in, 128's put that in, 101's put, 101's put that in. And all of these thousands and thousands of accounts have all got somebody's energy inside it. And so here they come to account number 196000149, and they say, we'd like to take some energy out of there. And I say, okay, well, what are you going to do with that? They say, well, we're going to invest it over here. And I look at that and I say, well, I don't really want my energy investing over there. And you say, well, we do. Well, okay, you take your energy out of your account and you invest it over there. But don't expect to come to another being, another minister and friends account and take from there if the party or the investment, the project that you're investing that energy in, isn't conducive. So this meeting isn't really about whether we stand surety to 1567 in his fictional state or whatever it is. That's up to you to decide. We are now going to determine as to whether we believe that it's okay for us to take somebody else's rights and invest them in a project that the originator of those rights objects to. And I want us to think about what it is that we're actually doing. We're back in the system of administration. What do the system of administration do? They take your rights and invest them in projects that you would not like them to do in your name. They would not like you to, sorry, you would not like them to invest in GMO Monsanto food, but they do. So I'm not prepared myself to set a precedence here to have universal law community trust rammed into the administrative definition jurisdiction of one incapacitated legal minor by false claim and by what we've just seen exemplified there. At no point did he accept that he had any fault. You know, if somebody cannot see that they have done anything wrong in that scenario, then is it likely that they're going to continue to make the same unconscious mistakes and blame somebody else for the fact that it ends up looking like a pint of piss? So this isn't what I'm trying to get to here, is to say to 128 and anybody else and 1416 is that if you want to go and stand surety to him, that, like I said, absolutely no problem as far as I'm concerned. If anybody wants to go and do anything at all, just go and do it. As long as you're not causing harm, loss or damage to another.
How does that work then? How would I or 128 stand surety to him?
That what you've already had it in an email. You went and stood surety you went and stood surety, love, last week, didn't you?
Yeah, I did that
Exactly the same
because of what he
scenario.
did at Hillston, and because I do see him as having potential as in a moment. But having said that, I totally agree with what you've just said, and also with the conversation that we just heard. He's really unreasonable and arrogant, and he's got those issues that he's not addressed. And what I thought maybe a possibility might be for a probationary period of him to do some work on himself, prove that to us, and then possibly let him back in. But that depends on him, and by the sounds of it and the sounds of his life at the moment, it doesn't sound like he's in a great position to be doing that. Most
people want to convince you of something. I don't want to convince anybody of anything. I've set up this platform for everybody to take it as a packet and convince yourself with it. And so for a probationary period, whatever, this is your community, guys. I don't need to be involved in this. I only need to be involved if you turn around to me on Monday, call me and say that he's been carted off and you want me to do habeas corpus in the background. The answer is no.
But what about tomorrow itself? I mean,
I'm doing nothing about tomorrow. That's down to you guys. You're standing surety to it, which is why I want to take a vote. You know, or do we need to take a vote? Do we all not know already that that's why we've done this in the first place? That it is not, it's a trespass upon somebody else's rights to contract them into an agreement that you've got based on the terms and conditions and the conditions that you've got with a certain individual, to bring in somebody else who is abject to that individual. You know, what I'm saying is, if it was any one of any events who have done one step or any of the steps, or even somebody who's done, you know, assignment of consent and got himself arrested, even at that point, no, we don't even know the guy. Of course, we're going to do it, and we're going to see what it is that that individual has got to return that love and kindness with. Now, if you see something in somebody because you've seen him face to face and you've seen, you know, I've heard from MFM One Sweat, MFM One Sweat, if you want to say now about what it is that you see as a benefit for the community in him, because this is why we're having this meeting, because of what you two have stood surety to him for already and said, look, we can see the benefit now. Okay, if you see the benefit, it's your investment with your energy that you're investing to the degree that you have learnt this. I'm reserving.
I'm having real difficulty hearing what you're saying. We're on the move at the moment and really struggling. What I do want to say is I agree that he, 1567 has some issues, but I think he also has a lot that he can really bring to the table as well and add value to the community. And we need to be trying to help these people to understand what's really going on here and the value that the trust can bring them, and how we can how he can recognize that and maybe adapt his approach to what he's doing.
If you
from the time that I spent with him, I just found him to be a very, very loving, caring, thoughtful person, wanting to help mankind, do the right, and do the right thing for everyone. I think it's unfortunate the way he's gone about it in this particular scenario. So do I want to still stand surety to him? I want to support him in whatever way I can. And if that means that I can't do that as an MFN, that's fine.
That's not
but I do want to help the guy.
Listen what he's doing to you all. Listen what he's doing to you all. He put you doubting that you can ever be an we are all minister on our own energy, matter and movement. Do we really have to go back to basic step one? Because one individual could not be asked to invest all of that time in restoring his own rights instead of running around trying to appease the fact that he hasn't restored his own rights by then going and supposedly helping anyone. You can't help somebody with any effectiveness if you haven't restored your own rights. Hear all of those words that came out of his mouth and the contradictions and the denial and the complete, can't even admit I've sent an email. And then so it's not even about the emails. Don't you all get it? I hope you do. It's not about the email. It's not about joining the group. It's not about due diligence. It's not about any of that. It is about the fact that you had exactly the same packet that everybody else had, and you picked it up and you used it in this way. Now, for me, however many times you want to offer that wonderful packet to however many people it is that you need to offer it to build your community, I can tell you I've had to offer it to millions to find you guys out of it.
Okay, my only feeling is it's hard enough getting other people into this, into the ULCT, that this is fracturing the small group of people that we do have. And it is really breaking my heart to see that. It's
what do you mean? Listen, nobody's breaking anything up. What I'm trying to get across to you, obviously, I don't know, do I need to speak Greek? You can stand surety. It is your community. If it was down to me to say, yes, this one, no, that one, yes, this one, what are we creating here? A dictatorship, an administrative hierarchy system where I'm trying to help you see that it is not that. If you want to go and do what it is for anybody who you've got a connection to in your community, then go and do it, but do it democratically. Do it with a vote in your community and say, all of you together, Do you want, first of all, this individual in your community? First of all, now we've seen what it is that we've seen. Everybody's got a right to have any interaction with him or not. Now we're getting to this level here. Nobody can be out of universal law, can they? Because you are made of it. So even that who have been kicked out of your trusted tells you the level of comprehension of what it is that we're actually talking about here is way, way, way down. It's not even at step one. He thinks that he can be removed from universal law. What the email says is that you do not have the right of use of Minister MFN 1567. Now, if the Hereford Community Trust ledger book role take it upon themselves to accept an assignment of consent directly into their community from the once creditor of that account 1567 and reissue all of the paperwork from their ledger book role, and that is you standing surety to him as a community and not using my family trust account to support somebody with that I do not wish to fund or credit.
Okay, can I ask us a slightly unrelated question, or should I leave that for another meeting?
Let's just keep it on this first, please. So because we have, and then we'll go on to, well, you know, what he said about, nobody said that anybody owed him any money. I'd said that he had been given money, he's been given clothes, he's been given support, he's been given the offer in exactly the same way of the support mechanism that we've got to offer everybody, and he chose to say that it didn't exist, and we'll leave it at that now. So the vote, let's take the vote here. Does anybody think that it's a good idea to override somebody else's consent and involve them in a third-party contractual obligation that they are not party to, or that they have revoked their consent from being party to? We're going to have a vote on that.
I think that's an absolutely no.
That's a no. So we've got a no from who? Because who is that?
1 to 8, and I think you know as well. Yeah, 1799.
1799.
1483, no.
1191, no. 1133, no.
1380, no.
369, no.
1416, no.
What was that last one?
1666, no. 1666, no.
Okay.
1471's a no, and 1367 is a no.
Nobody has a right to demand do anything against anybody else's will. I think that's a given.
Okay.
Agreed.
Right. So let's look for a remedy. So it's a no from me, obviously. This is why we did this. This is why why Universal Law Community Trust exists. Because we all agree that just that one fundamental thing is a trespass on your rights. So it also leads us into capitalizing on another's rights. So if we come along, and this is what certain individuals were doing, they weren't learning the steps, and they were taking a little bit of this one, a little bit of this one, doing a few steps themselves. That's why the individual that he referred to at the beginning lost their car, because there was a step missing through the exemplification process of exporting the conveyance. There are obviously many emails, webinars explaining all of that, how you do that. It's up to you to listen to them. This, excuse me. So this is, obviously we're saying that this is the whole reason why Universal Law Community Trust is adding to the administration of the law, because you're breaking it. So this has all come about because somebody did do that. Now, what I would have said to him at the point where we've got the conversation going after he's been released and all of that, is that they've gone through the steps of how it is that we create unconscious joinder. He would have had all of that explained to him, just like everybody else has. And it, you know, the steps very, very simple, set out for you to do. It's not that I have to do anything. I just have to stop doing what it is that I've been doing. So when I on there, I was like, I've been doing this for 25 years. Well, it hasn't, you know, how's it worked out for you so far? Well, of course, you're going to get hammered now at this point twice, because what you're doing, you're still in denial and you are adding to the administration of the law. You've created the legal fiction. You're still standing full of doubt. And that's obvious, because when you say, oh, I've got to go to court tomorrow, and I don't know whether I'm going as legal fiction or whether I'm going as Minister MFN, straight away, that tells you there is no trust in what it is that I've actually said yes to, what I'm agreeing to. I haven't got any, I've got no standing in it. I've got no belief or trust. I don't trust it. Don't trust myself to decide. I'm asking you now what it is I need to come and do. And then I'm asking you to actually come and do it for me. The downside of having an administrative event there standing next to you for you to say, I've assigned my consent to that, is an implication still that you're incapacitated and you haven't taken care of your own estate. However, who have you assigned your consent to? Something that keeps you completely unable. So even that can be rebutted. He would have had all of this to give him the standing that he needed, that all of us need, in order for us to be able to go and exemplify this ourselves. So standing there and saying that I wasn't able to go and explain all of this stuff, well, that's because you didn't comprehend it first yourself, clearly. So please do us a favor, people, don't go around like other people have done to various businesses, for example, and said, I've come here to use kindness credits. And the shopkeepers are like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they say, yeah, she said that I could come here and get my food for free. You've completely destroyed any opportunity that we've got being able to convert that business into kindness credits, because you took it upon yourself to go in there with a tiny little bit of information and trespass on the right of use of it. If you haven't got your mind secured, shut up, sit down, get it secured, and then open your mouth. We've got enough agents of presumption and assumption going around and causing us liabilities left, right, and centre without us adding to it. So the severity of this, there's many ways to play this. I'm not going to do this in this recording. But obviously I am going to train the ministers anyway. They've already had this training. What is becoming apparent to me, apart from I've got something stuck in my throat, is that 128 and 1416 have already done the thing that they think that they now can't do, because I've said that I'm not going to stand surety to it. There is nothing different from what they did last time for the exactly the same scenario. If somebody had gone and used legal fiction in the end into Newport Magistrates Court, and we can all see the video of that outcome on YouTube. So, are we all done with that? Event 1367. As as one of the founders of the Hereford Community Trust, are you willing to issue a warranty card deed reference exemplification roll to the ones credited the account 1567?
So, oh, sorry, you're asking me. Sorry. Yeah, I think we all need to have some consideration of it. I don't think we've quite got to the bottom of everything, and I think we need to have a discussion with the other ministers of the community.
Okay, so when should we do the consideration? Because if he's going to go and use the minister and friend tomorrow, because the guys, the other events are going to stand surety to it, you're in my position now, because you are really you're 010 before Hereford.
Well, it was, okay.
You're the one who's going to have to do the paperwork for the habeas corpus for him if he messes it up.
That's true. Well, I'm happy to attempt to do that.
Okay.
If 1416 as a sort of joint founder is happy to do that too.
I'll be happy to help out with what I comprehend about it. What I don't comprehend is standing surety to him tomorrow. I know you've been over it, but I still don't comprehend it. So that was really my whole point when I called you the other day as well. Was basically, I think it's good for the trust for us to help him through tomorrow.
No, what you're saying is it's good for me to do it.
No, sorry. Yeah, I suppose I was.
Right.
But the trust, I say the trust loosely.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
You're right.
We've just voted on that. That's the whole point of this. So with the level of, you've already done all of this yourselves. All of you have. You've already served the papers, you've already served the legal fiction, you've served the straw man, you stood surety using the COVID, you went and arrested the police. Really what should be happening tomorrow is that you're arresting all of the court and securing it. And because that's what I was going to say to him, if he'd have had the conversation with me, I would have thanked the guy for the wonderful, and I did on the phone, what a wonderful opportunity you've given us here.
Yeah.
But we can't go, well, lastminute.com, we're just suddenly going to go, all right, now I'm going to open my emails, and by the time I behave like this, you're not using any more of my energy after the return of my investment that I've got, is what the email says. Yes, it's in strong language, but that's the language that I use. Yeah. So what you're saying, what we've just voted on is that you cannot do that. Your community now, it's not my, Hereford community is not my community at my family trust level. Draw 3 circles on the screen. The family trust is where your intellectual property is, right? And then as a community, you share it. As a universal law community trust, it's all of us as a community sharing it all. If one of those accounts refuses to contract with another account can stand surety to it and discharge the liabilities, but it cannot use the other account and say, I'm doing this. You're not. You're using account number 1960041 to discharge charges for 1567. Hasn't got any credit inside it whatsoever as far as the exchange has gone between these two accounts. You just heard the exchange that we've got, that I've got for my investment with that individual. Now, if you want to stand surety to that, then that you've already done what it is. What do you think is different? So now what I'm more interested in really is your level of understanding, your guys' level of comprehension of this. So I'm going to stop recording now. Hang on.